little bit. Is it working? The pipeline mechanism or the connectivity from Jump server? Okay. So any questions? Any questions on VPC or any questions on database? So you guys practiced VPC, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Avinash. I started due to this new link and all links. I am unable to reconnect. So can you quick recap what yesterday discussed?
See, I'm in session yesterday for so long time. I
Okay.
pushed everyone from old link to new link. Okay. So it's not just one step or two important step. It's a launch process. However,
Okay.
I'll explain today also. I'll take you through that steps.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, yesterday we have launched an EC2 instance and we kept it in stopped state, right? So that's still available. So what I did, basically, this is a jump server. So it is running in my custom VPC's public subnet. So as it is running in public subnet, can I get connected from my local laptop? It is running in public subnet with a public IP address. There is a component called internet gateway. So that provide internet access. So from my local laptop, I can easily get connected to it. And whatever the database I'm going to launch, the database and this instance both are running in same VPC. So same VPC resources can communicate each other. That we already know. Correct. So within this jump server, I have installed a tool, the connectivity tool. See, if you want to get connect by using CLI, of course it is possible. Okay. So, but the UI is most commonly used one. And however, our role is done whenever we are creating database, configuring high availability, configuring backups, that we will take care. After that, remaining activities, we really don't take care. Okay. So, here also, so we are going to launch a database. We will get connected to it. We'll verify whether connectivity is there or not. So within database level, schema creation, modification, those all we really don't care. Whether database is matching with the client requirement or the performance, whether we are properly taking backups or not. Okay, so the restoration process. So those we will take care as a AWS operations guy. Right. So now let's navigate to RDS and I'll quickly launch one database. I'll recap all the steps again. Whatever steps we discussed yesterday, I'll recap all the settings. But on top of that, we will discuss some more settings. Okay. So primarily, we have two options in this database. The important topics in this RDS, right? One is launching and getting connected to it. The second important option is read replica and multi-AZ deployment. That's it. Backups and all snapshots you can easily create, you can restore. So not so complex topic or typical topic. Okay. So we will discuss those two options here in today's session. So for that, definitely I need to launch a database. So navigate into DB instances, create database, and I'm going to give a name for this database. That is DB instance identifier. Technically, we call it as. Of course, we follow some naming standards also here. Okay. So I'm going with MySQL, the most commonly used one. Then scroll down. You go with the latest version or any version, doesn't matter here. I'm going with Deva test environment this time. Okay. So why? Because if I select free tier, this option is not enabled. Basically, this option will cost us. I'll tell you what exactly it is. Okay. So I'm going to choose Deva test environment. So when coming to your case, Do you really need to enable this to understand this? Not really required. You just understand this mechanism. That's okay. Right. So I'm going to enable. I'm going to select multi-AZ DB instance. Multi-AZ DB instance I'm selecting. Recently, AWS added just a week back. AWS added multi-AZ DB cluster. I'll talk about that also. Let's go with the multi-AZ DB instance for now. So, what name you want to give? Okay, I'm going to call this as a MySQL prod database. And credentials, whatever username and password you want to give. I'm calling default administrator as a DB admin. And password, I'm giving the regular password Avinash1234. The reason I already told you why I'm revealing the password. If I forgot, you need to. That's going to take some time to reset the password. Password reset will take around 15 minutes. That happened earlier. I set up a password, some typical password handle, and I forgot that. So instead of that, I stick to a very simple password. And changing a password is not a big thing actually. You just go and modify the cluster, set a new password. That's it. Okay. Now I'm going with the free tier eligible one. I'm going with T3 micro or T4G micro. This comes under free tier eligibility. I'm going with T4G micro. Now storage, I'm going with 20 GB. Don't go with the default values. Just verify how much it is. And also, do we really require provisioned IOPS? You remember general purpose, provisioned IOPS, magnetic or standard. Which one gave highest performance? Among these, which one gave highest performance?
Provision.
Yeah, provisioned IOPS will give. Yes, provisioned IOPS will give highest performance. And GP2 or GP3 comes under free tier eligibility. Stick to GP2. Okay, basically GP3 is very cost effective compared to GP2. But AWS not made that yet for free tier. Okay, so go with the GP2. I'm going with 20 GB. Storage auto scaling. Yesterday we discussed 90%, 80% of the storage is filled up. AWS will add 5 GB or 10% of an existing storage. Whichever is higher, AWS will add that. Okay. So in our case, obviously it's going to be 25 GB. However, I'm not going to enable. We are not even going to create 500 MB also. Scroll down. So do you want to connect to an EC2 instance? If you want to, you just go and select your EC2 instance. I think I have not started that. That's the reason it is not showing. However, we already implemented that pipeline mechanism, right? So you can simply go, don't connect to an EC2 instance also. And in what VPC you want to run, go and select a VPC we already have. DB subnet group. In what subnet you want to? You select the DB subnet. Public access? No. If you set it to yes, we will get a public IP address. We can access this database over the internet. That is not at all secured. So go with the no. Security group. If you already have a security group, you can go and select that. Okay. Otherwise, simply you click on create a new one. You give a new security group, but make sure if you are creating a new security group, it opens with port number 3306. Why? Because we are launching MySQL. Okay. But it picks currently connected network public IP address. That don't help us. So make sure you go and modify. Otherwise, yesterday we created one, right? MySQL SG. We can simply pick same one. Right? So then scroll down. Password authentication. So if you integrate your AWS account with your on-premise Active Directory or any of the directory service, we can use this third option. Who can get connected to it? What username and password we are going to use to get connected to it? Your on-premise Active Directory or any of the directory service username and password you can use here. But for that, we need to select a directory here. That we are not discussing now, later. Okay. So the second one is we can create an IAM role. We can create an IAM policy. We can associate to an IAM user who need to get connected. So, so if any other user who is working in same project, if they want to get connected to the database, they really no need to use any separate credentials. Whatever credentials they are using to log into this AWS account, same credentials they can use. For that, what we need to do? We need to create a policy first. Okay, create a policy. The service is RDS. Search for RDS. You see this? RDS IAM authentication. Okay. So what database? For all the databases, you see here, we are creating a policy that will allow an IAM user to get connected to the database. Again, any database or specific database. If you giving specific, you need to give the what region, what is the resource ID, what is the username. You need to define that. Otherwise, simply all resource. Okay. Then create a policy, allocate it. So what happened to whoever you are allocating, he can use his IAM username and password to get connected to it. So that is not so commonly used one. Okay. Most of the times we go with this password authentication only. Okay. So the reason is if your AWS account is compromised, your database also will compromise. The reason is if your AWS account, for example, someone guessed your username and password. If this option is selected, they can use that credentials, they can even get into your database. But if this option is selected, even if your AWS account is compromised, nothing happened. They cannot get connected to it unless they know DB admin username and password, the database username and password. So that's the reason most of the times we go with the password authentication. So stick with it. So then monitoring. What is a monitoring service in AWS? CloudWatch. Perfect. So the CloudWatch automatically enabled here for this RTS also. So, but what happened? It is going to give only some basic metrics and all. So, what is a CPU utilization of the database, network in and out? Okay. So, storage, it gave certain metrics. Again, memory, no. You remember this point. With the help of CloudWatch, we cannot monitor memory utilization. If you want to monitor memory utilization, we need to configure custom metrics. Okay. So if you enable this performance insights, how many queries are running against the database? Okay. What within how much duration that is giving response, and everything is going to be come under this performance insight. There is a dedicated screen for this. You see here, there is an option, performance insights. You can go there, you can select your database. It shows all your database usage. Okay. So I'm going to enable to show you what exactly it is. I'm going with free tier, that is a 7 days. That means last 7 days database performance, we can review. Not more than that. Okay. So I'm going with that 7 days one. Encryption. Yeah, let's go with the default encryption. Then scroll down. You see here, there is an option called enhanced monitoring. Enhanced monitoring is nothing but detail monitoring. What is a basic monitoring interval in CloudWatch? In CloudWatch, we have 2 types of monitorings. What are those? Okay, if you take an EC2 instance, under monitoring, you have this graph, right? How frequently these graphs are going to update? 5 minutes. Okay, I don't want to go with the 5 minutes. I want to reduce it. Can we reduce it to 1 minute?
Yes.
For that, what we need to do?
Detail monitoring.
Manage detail
Manage the
monitoring.
detail monitoring.
Yes, enable. Now, how many types of monitorings we have? Basic monitoring
Bullets.
is a 5 minutes
Summary
interval.
monitoring.
Detail monitoring, that is a 1 minute interval. That is what I'm asking. That is a question I'm asking actually. So you have seen that, right? Basic monitoring. Now, if you observe this graph, when it got updated at 340, at 345, it is going to update again. At 350, updates again. So the graph update interval is 5 minutes. Technically, we call that as a basic monitoring. Same applicable for our database also. It's important, guys. Okay. Same applicable for our database also. If you don't enable this, what happened? All graphs will update for every 5 minutes. But database is a bit important. We want to continuously monitor. So I want to reduce that monitoring granularity to 60 seconds or 1 second or 5 seconds. Yes, we can. For that, what we need to do? We need to enable enhanced monitoring. Difference between detail monitoring and enhanced monitoring is detail monitoring is 1 minute interval. Enhanced monitoring, we can even set it to 1 second also. Okay. See, the logic is very simple, guys. Basic is like a 2 marks question. How much you are going to write? Just 2 lines or 3 lines. Detailed is a 4 marks question. How much you are going to write? 10 lines or 12 lines. This enhanced monitoring is the 8 marks question. How much you are going to write? It is a JNTU 2 to 3 pages. Right. So, you know how in detail it is going to give. So basic is just 5 minutes. For every 5 minutes, graph updates. Okay, that is basic. Right. So detail is a 1 minute interval. For every 1 minute, the graph updates. Enhanced for every 1 second. Okay, that's the only different. But all graphs are same. You are going to get a graph. How quickly the graph is updating, that is matter. However, this will cost us. I'm not going to enable. Okay. So when you expand this additional configuration, it is asking us what is the initial database name. So you can give any schema. Okay. So first DB is a name I'm giving. So go with this parameter group and option group, that is setting up properties for our database. So you want to enable automated backups? Yes. If this option is enabled, what happens, you know? AWS automatically enables backups without any manual intervention. AWS create a backup copy automatically for this database. When it is going to create? 2 things. One is whenever any major modification is happening, if AWS itself detected any major modification, it will create a backup copy. Why? Because that major modification may went well or may goes wrong. If it goes wrong, we should not lose any data, right? So we can go with this option. So one is whenever AWS detect any major modification. So, but if you're not doing anything, you're not really doing anything, but you enable this automated backup. So then what AWS will do? It will create a backup during this window. There is a backup window, right? So during this particular window, for example, I'm going to choose a window. Every day at 3 a.m., I'm giving 1 hour backup window. That is too high. Why? Because first copy will take some time. Second copy onwards, it's just a incremental backup. Whatever data modified, only that data will back up. So it's going to be pretty quick. 1 hour is too high. Okay, from morning 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'm taking this backup window. During this period, AWS will create a backup. In between, if you're doing any major modification, it creates. It won't ask you, do you want to create and or no. It creates automatically. Why? Because you're giving permission, enable automated backups. Fine, every day morning 3 o'clock, it is creating a backup copy. But how many days backup copy you want to retain? Okay. So basically, we have a concept called RTO and RPO. Okay. So that we'll discuss later. So depends on that, we are going to choose. Okay. The client will say, okay, if any database issues occurred, I should get access to last 3 days backup copies. So then we can set up backup retention period as a 3 days. What happened? Last 3 days backup copies will be available. So if any new backup created tomorrow, the third one will delete automatically. Day after tomorrow, another copy will create, right? Yesterday's will delete. The next day, new copy creates and today's will delete. So AWS always maintain most recent 3 copies, 3 days backup copies. It's a days, not the count. Whatever snapshots created in last 3 days, that will be available. That is a backup retention period. So what is a maximum retention we can configure? That is a 35 days. You cannot have more than 35 days backup copies. Yes, that is a limitation. Okay. If you go here, you scroll. What AWS will do? Whatever snapshots created last 35 days, only that will be available. I want to have last 90 days copies. No, not possible with AWS. Okay. So generally, in real environment, for production environment, we are going to set it to 3 days. For a non-production environment, we are going to set it to 2 days or 1 day. Okay. That is a standard value. Or you can even mention, okay, we are setting production as 7 days, non-production as a 3 days. So that is also another point you can mention. So basically production should be high, non-production should be low, the value. And don't mention more than 7 days. We really don't keep those many backup copies. Okay. And that's a interview question actually. So simply the question is going to be, what is your backup strategy for different AWS resources? That's a simple question. Okay. So you need to talk about these things. So I'm going to enable, but this value I'm going to set it to 1 day. Now, okay. So you want to enable encryption for this database? Yes, I want to enable encryption. I'm going with the default. If you don't want to, you can uncheck this. Here, there is an encryption option. This encryption is for performance insights. Whatever the insights we are getting, that encryption is for insights. But here, this encryption is for our database. Okay. Now, fine. So then, what are the logs you want to enable? So these logs will come and it will store in CloudWatch logs group. So audit log, what exactly audit log means? What is audit log? Any answer?
It will keeps the track of login and logout students.
Audit. So the second one is error log. So it's pretty straightforward. If in your database, if any error occurred, it will store. Third one is general, all general logs. Fourth one is slow query log. If any query is executing very slow, it will write that information to that log. What is audit log?
If any changes to the existing data, like update or something, etc., to those will catch you in audit.
Who is accessing and what queries or what transactions they are doing?
Yes, the access. Who is accessing, at what time they are accessing, whether they are running any update query, such type of ones, we will get it under audit log. Okay. Audit primarily who is connecting, right? So how they are connecting, so those all information. So whatever the logs you want to enable, you can enable it. These all logs are going to store in CloudWatch logs group. You know that, right? So scroll down. Now enable auto miner version upgrade. So now we are selecting a database here. Database and it's a database engine. For example, now I am selecting 8.0.30. So somehow, latest version came 8.0.32. So obviously we are going with -1 mechanism, or I'm selecting latest version. So AWS, if you select this option, enable auto miner version upgrade. If you select this option, AWS will automatically enable to latest version. At what time it is going to? That we need to choose a window. We need to choose a maintenance window. So click on choose a window. At what time it is going to happen? Saturday morning at 4. Why can't I select 3 o'clock? During 3 o'clock, backup will happen. If I select 3, you see, maintenance window and backup window is colliding. It's overlapping, right? So go and select 4 o'clock. How much time? 1 hour. So now we have an option. Whenever we are doing any modification, okay, it will ask us, do you want to apply changes immediately or you want to apply during the maintenance window? If you select apply immediately, the changes will apply to database immediately. But if you select, okay, don't apply now, apply during maintenance window. So this Saturday at morning 4 o'clock, those all changes are going to updated on our database. You just simply sit and monitor. You do modification now. Okay, but it will take effect on Saturday morning. Why Saturday morning? All activities. If something goes wrong, we should have ample time to fix that issue. That's the reason all maintenance windows, and technically we call it as a green zone window. Okay, green zone window or maintenance window. During that time, we are going to perform all these modifications. And simply, can you go and modify it? No. You need to create a CRQ, change request. The process in organizations, right? So for example, you have an EC2 instance, you want to upgrade that EC2 instance configuration. Okay. So you are not the decision maker. Why? Because you're not paying from your pocket. So client is paying for that. You inform the client, you give a valid justification why we need to upgrade the configuration and all. So if how we are going to inform that? We are going to create a change request. The change request client will review. If he approves, again, at what time we are going to discuss? For that, we are going to have a weekly meetings. The meeting name is CAB meeting. Change advisory board. You need to present your change to advisory board. Okay. So they need to approve it. When they approve, so then you go and do this activity over the weekend or the maintenance window. Okay, this is how exactly it happens in real environments. Right, okay. So I'm going to enable auto miner version upgrade now. At what time it is going to on Sunday morning or Saturday morning, it's going to happen at 4 a.m. Right. So you want to enable deletion protection? If yes, you enable it. Again, it's just like a termination protection for our instance. Accidentally, you cannot terminate if this option is enabled. Scroll down, create database. Now, this will take some time. Yeah, around 15 minutes. During that creation process, we will discuss a couple of options. Okay. So, any questions so far? Any questions?
Minor version upgrade, Avinash, it is not a recurring, right? So there could not be version upgrades every Saturday or Monday, right?
No. Basically, AWS periodically releases. It won't release always, but whenever AWS is releasing, so AWS itself will evaluate that and it is going to upgrade automatically. However, for a production environment and all, we don't enable that. Why? Because we evaluate it, we first test it in dev SQA or UAT environments. So then only we will do that. We simply don't enable that option, mainly in production environment. Okay, here is the credentials. So now, whenever we are creating this database, I have enabled an option called multi-AZ deployment. Okay. So we'll discuss what exactly that multi-AZ deployment is. Right. So the name only telling multi-AZ. Okay, deployment is like a creating or provisioning the resource and all, or having resources, right? So what happened? Now we are creating this database, and it is going to create a backup. It is going to create the database copy in AP South 1A or 1B. Fine. So this database is very important to me. If something happened to AP South 1A, if something happened to AP South 1A, I should not get affected with that operation, the downtime. Okay. So then what we can do? If it is an EC2 instance, what is the recommended method? Maintain two servers, one is in 1A, another one is in 1B. But we manually need to maintain that. But here in database, as it comes under platform as a service, AWS will maintain multiple copies if you enable this multi-AZ option. Diagrammatically, I'll share this diagram. Okay. RDS. Where is that? EPC. No. No, not this one. Yeah, this one. All right. So this is a multi-AZ deployment diagram. I prepared it. So instead of spending some time and all, I'm keeping a copy always. So you see here, this is my jump server. Where this jump server is running? Jump server is running in custom VPC public subnet. Okay. This is in AP South. This is AP South 1A, AP South 1B. In 1A, I have two public subnets. 1B, I have two private subnets. Now, when I'm creating this database, what happened? AWS is creating a copy. But if I enable multi-AZ deployment, AWS automatically creating another copy in another availability zone. Can we see that? No. Only thing what you can do, go to RDS, scroll to right, multi-AZ set to yes or no. It is still creating. So that's the reason it is showing no. It will come to yes in some time. Okay. So what happens? AWS automatically create another copy in another availability zone. So M means master copy, S means standby copy. Okay, both are going to have same name, but different IP addresses. Okay, now when I connected to this database with the endpoint name and all, it connects to master. If I stop or if I reboot, so that copy automatically connected to secondary copy. So backend AWS is creating two copies. So the second copy also will cost us. If you are enabling this feature, the cost is going to be double. So generally the database cost is $100 per month. Okay. If you enabling this, the cost is going to be $200 per month. The reason? AWS is maintaining another copy, right? AWS is maintaining another copy for us. How much data you're storing in primary, same automatically synchronize. If something happened to primary, or if you manually reboot the primary, all traffic will go to the secondary one. Okay, let me quickly show you. Click on create database. Just observe this thing. Create a database. I'm selecting MySQL. I'm selecting Deva test environment. You see here, multi-AZ, single DB. Single DB means you are not enabling this feature. So I'm selecting single DB. Scroll down. I'm going with a configuration like M6G large. Scroll down and cost and all. You scroll down to bottom. I'm getting some background noise from someone. Please be on mute if you don't have any question. Okay, I'm selecting db.t3 large and I'm going with 50 GB storage. And I'm going with general purpose, not enabling storage auto scaling. Okay, public access no, and I'm going to select an existing security group. Okay, you see here the pricing information. So it's total for DB instance, the cost is 143. For storage, it is 26. Why 26? Okay, it's a 200 GB. The storage is a bit high. So let's go with the 50 GB. The cost is going to be very, very less. So you see here. So the database cost is 143. The storage cost is around $6.5 or $7. So the total cost is $150. Correct. Okay. Now I'm just enabling this feature. Earlier, this is what the option is selected. Now I'm enabling multi-AZ DB instance. If you scroll down to bottom, you see this along with this 143, another 143 is added. Earlier, what is the cost? $150. But now what is the cost? $300. The cost is doubling. Why it is doubling for enabling that feature? AWS, whatever configuration you select, how much storage you select, that configuration, that storage is picked and it is going to create another copy in another availability zone. So AWS is taking care about high availability and fault tolerance. So we really need to spend some time to configure that backup failovers, all those things. Not really required. So in AWS environment, we really don't require a dedicated database administrator. Generally, what database administrators will do? Create database, take backups,
restore.
create users and manage the permissions, backup and restore. On top of that, primarily those things, right? Everything we can do with very simple steps. If I enable this option, do I really need to worry about? Okay, if primary copy goes down also, AWS is automatically maintaining another copy, but it is costing more. The cost is double, but your effort, your operational things, everything is reduced, right? So that is a multi-AZ deployment option. For production environment, yes, we enable this. For production environments, we enable this option. Okay. So can we see the another copy? Directly we cannot. Why? Because both are having same name. Both are having same name. Okay. So we cannot see. But technically we can. Whenever you are running NS lookup, what exactly it will do? It will tell what is a backend IP. Okay. This is going to have a different IP and this is going to have a different IP. If something goes wrong, this connection will go to this database, right? The name is going to be same, but IP is going to change. So I'll show you that in some time. You got this concept? Concept is clear, this multi-AZ concept.
But Avinash,
and there is a, yeah.
But by default, AWS is responsible for high availability of instance, right? Again,
but it is, yeah, it gives like, only for availability zone level it will. So even if you're taking services, it gives only 99.9% availability only.
Yeah.
But you're looking for 100%, even when entire availability zone goes down also, you should not get affected. When entire availability zone goes down also, you should not get affected. So then, obviously, we can enable this option. Okay, so AWS will do that operation for us.
Okay.
Okay, so this is multi-AZ deployment. Is our database ready? So database ready? No, it's still backing up. It will take some time. Meanwhile, I'll get connected to this jump server. Grab the public IP address. It's changed actually. Why? Because I perform stop and start, right? This modified. Where's desktop? Okay, I got connected to my jump server. I already have MySQL workbench, right? I'm going to open that. Okay, this is yesterday one. I'm going to delete this. Click on this plus symbol. It will ask us MySQL host name is like our instance database endpoint. Grab the endpoint. Port number 3306. Default username is dbadmin. Then click on test connection. It is asking for the password. So that means connection is there. So the password I have set up the regular one, Avinash 1234. Save password invalid. Connection success. Yesterday we already set up that security groups, right? Give a double click and we got connected here. If you go to schemas, you see here, first DB created automatically. Why? Because while creating itself, we have given that. Okay. So if you want to create a new schema, give a right click, create schema. You give a name, test 123, click on apply, finish. Now you see here, test 123 is created. Within this schema, we are going to have tables. If you expand, here is a tables. So today I'm going to share a sample database. The task is restore the sample database to MySQL. I'm giving the database. So you launch an RDS MySQL, you get connected to it. So then whatever the database file I'm sharing, okay, that is a self-contained file. So you use that, you initiate a restoration here. It should create a database and it should create some tables and all, some customer ID, customer name and all. Those all information is here. So that is the first task. Initiate a database restoration. Right. So is it completed? It's still backing up. Till it come to active state, we cannot do anything. For example, if I want to modify, it won't allow. Okay, now it is available. All right, we are good now. So now I want to see what is the IP address of my database. So generally, the AWS statement is we are not going to get any IP address. We are going to get a endpoint name. This is the endpoint name. But I have enabled multi-AZ deployment. So one copy should run in AP South 1A, another copy should run in 1B. Why? Because we're paying double. We're paying twice, right? The amount. So to verify whether two copies created or not, you have two options. One is go to network interfaces. You know network interfaces, right? Go to network interfaces. You see here, 3 network interfaces are there. But how many instances I have? Only one. So that is a jump server. This is my jump server. these two database, RDS network interface. I have only one database. I have two network interfaces. Why? One is for primary copy, second one is for standby copy. We have two different IP addresses, 109 and 42. And if you observe, one is running in 1A, another one is running in 1B. These two is for our regular database only. How we can verify that from the instance? Let me take a command prompt. I'm giving a command called nslookup. And let me take that endpoint. And I'm giving that name here. What is the output? 172.16.42.75. Okay, fine. So the name is this. So let me reboot this. I'm navigating to actions, reboot. When I'm rebooting, you see here what it is asking, reboot with failover is one option. I'm not going to select reboot with failover. Then click on confirm. So reboot is happening now. You see here, it's rebooting. You see the status? It is rebooting. Just wait for 30 seconds or a minute. So then try to run that nslookup. It's rebooting. Go back here. Try to run this nslookup. So again, the cost is doubling, right? Only for important and production environment resource only, we enable this. For a dev environment, for SQS and all, not really required. Okay. So along with this multi-AZ, we have another concept called read replica. Okay. So it's in available state. Now, if I go here, if I'm running this nslookup command, it's going to 42.75. Okay. So is that IP address changed? No, IP address not changed. Even you can use ipconfig / plus DNS. It is going to flush the DNS resolver cache. So you open a command prompt again, give nslookup, give the database endpoint name. Come on, it's not copied. So it's 42.75. Now I'm going to do same activity, but this time I'm going to select reboot with failover. Okay, navigate to actions, reboot. I'm selecting this option, reboot with failover. So go here, click on confirm. Earlier, when I did first time, what happened? Reboot happened, but failover not happened. Both the copies I have. For example, some patches happened or some performance issues we have for this database. We have two copies in backend. If we want to reboot both the copies, we can go with the first option we already performed. Both the copies, primary copy, standby copy, both will reboot if you don't select that option. Now I have selected the option. What happened? This copy is going to reboot now. When the reboot operation is happened, what happened? All the requests will go here. So far, this is the primary copy and the IP address is 42.75. 42.75. Okay. So this is 42.75. Now let's go and run this command. You see here 109.242. What happened? Earlier, both the copies rebooted. But this time, if I am rebooting with failover, is the connection pointing here? No, it is going something like a 109.242.
Second one.
The secondary one. Okay. So this is manually I'm rebooting and I'm selecting. But if something happened to one of the availability zone, AWS automatically do the redirection. But is there any change in the name? Just observe this name. Is there any change in the name? There is no change in the name. Name is same, but backend it is pointing to 2 copies. Okay. Yeah. So that is multi-AZ deployment option. Again, if I reboot with failover, now select it, navigate into actions. It's in available state now. Reboot. I'm selecting reboot with failover, then click on confirm. What happened? Again, all your requests will come to this 42. So we'll see that its reboot is happening. It's still going to 242. Just wait for 30 seconds. And you run this. Okay. So any questions on this multi-AZ deployment? Any questions? Good with this concept?
Hi, Avinash.
Yes, please.
Let's for a SQL or Oracle, they will release monthly or every 3 months patching. How they will apply AWS?
See, AWS don't apply patches for our database. See, if it is underlying operating system, that is taken care by AWS only. Okay. So when coming to database level patches, so whenever you are creating a database, right? So it will ask us here. So if you select this option, enable auto minor version upgrade, right? So it will update that with latest version. So basically all patches, they will combine and they will release it a minor version. Okay. So if this option is enabled, AWS will do that automatically. Otherwise, it will all come and it will wait. So what we need to do, for example, currently I'm using some version here. I decided to upgrade this. So then I can go and modify and I can manually select. I'll show you that it's in rebooting state, right? So when whatever modification you do, then it will ask us, okay, you want to do immediately or later during maintenance window. So basically all they will summarize, they will sum up and they're going to release a minor version for the database.
Okay, Avinash. Thank you.
You see now, earlier it is 109, but now again it is coming to 42. There is no change in the name. Okay. So can you confirm 2 copies are running in backend? Yeah, 2 copies are running in backend. So this is one concept, one important concept. Another concept is RAID replica. The name only telling it is a replica. What is replica?
Copy.
There is a movie called Replica. Yeah. Keanu Reeves is a hero. The John Wick, that guy. You might aware about that, right? Yeah. Right. So, you know, what happened in that movie? Multiple copies of heroes. Same thing here, nothing new. Okay, it's like a double action. But one guy will do only certain activities, another guy will do everything. Okay. So our primary copy, basically it works as a master and slave mechanism. It works as a master and slave mechanism. We are going to have a master copy. The master copy supports read operation as well as write operation. Okay. So the replica copy supports only read-only operations. We can create a schema, we can perform modifications on our master copy. Those modifications will sync to replica automatically, immediately. Okay. But if you try to create a schema with replica copy, it won't. Why? Because it's read replica, it supports just read-only operations. not write operations. Okay. So, right. So now this is the role. You see, what is the role here? It is showing instance. If I select this database, if I scroll down under replication, what it is showing? Only one, the same instance. Okay. You just observe this. Now I am going to create a replica. Navigate to actions, create read replica. Okay. Click on create read replica. I'll explain the steps. It's similar to database creation only. Again, it will take some time. First, I'll create, then I'll explain. What is the name you want to give? So, MySQL ProdDB replica. I'm going with T4G Micro. Where you want to create Mumbai, storage GP2, not enabling auto scaling, not creating multi-AZ deployment, going with IPv4, not publicly accessible, password authentication, right? So performance insight not really required, minor version upgrades also not really required, creating read replica. Okay. So earlier, what is the role it shown? Instance. But now it is changed to primary, and this is replica. You see, there is a connection from this primary to replica. Earlier, when we select the database, when we navigate to this replication, it shows only one. But now you see, this is a primary copy. This is a replica copy of our primary copy. Okay. So now, what are the options and what is mechanism we will discuss. So you see here, this is our master database. Currently, whatever application we have, so that application is pointing to our primary database. It is performing read operations and write operations. So generally, you take any application, so you can find difference between read operations and write operations. Okay, so which is going to be huge in terms of count? Read operations or write operations? Okay, for example, you are creating a Gmail account. You are setting up a password, you are setting up a username and password, you are giving your phone number, your address. So then you are signing up. So is that a read operation or write operation?
Right.
Write operation. The reason is Google is taking all your information, they're writing it to database. Tomorrow, if you are coming and if you are logging, it will go and verify whatever the password you have set up, whatever the username you already set up, it will verify that, right? Okay. So whenever you are creating an account, so technically that is a write operation. Sign up is a write operation. Fine. Tomorrow you came and you are logging. You already have an account. You are just giving a username and password. You are simply giving a username and password. What exactly that is? Is that a write operation or read operation? So is it creating any information? Is it writing any information to database? No, right? Whatever information already stored, so that is going to be validated against your entered one. So technically it will read the data from database. It will verify. If it is matching, it allows you to log in. So signing in is technically a read operation. Now you take Gmail account only. How many read operation happen or how many write operation happen? Which is going to be more? Read is going to be more. Why? Because you take your account, you are just going to perform write operation once. If you forgot the password, you are going to reset it. That is again write operation. You are setting a new password, right? So, but every day you are logging, you are nothing updating, you are giving username password and you are logging. So you take any application, read is going to be more. We are going to perform lot of read operations. Write operation very, very less with respect to the comparison to read operations. Now, if you are using only one database for read as well as write operations, what happened? Obviously, that will feel load or stress. Okay. So then what we can do? we can offload those read operations to read replicas. We can. So, okay, if it is a read operation, you go and get information from here. If it is a write operation, this will respond. So, where we are going to configure it? At application level only, we can configure it. AWS don't automatically segregate read and write. Okay. So, why? Because this is going to be different endpoint name. This will have different endpoint name. At your application level only, you configure, okay, you mention that this is what if it is a write operation, you point to here. So if any write operation happened, those changes will come to this read copies automatically. You no need to perform any additional things. AWS will create a copy and it will automatically sync the data. Okay. Continuous synchronization. So you can even find any lag is there between these copies. Any 1 millisecond lag, 2 millisecond lag, we can verify that. Okay. So what I did, this is my primary copy. For this primary copy, I have created a read replica. What are the steps we have in read replica creation? Go to actions, create read replica. Observe one thing. It won't ask you to set up username and password. Why? Because it is slave. Whatever user we already have in master, same user will come here. And it won't ask how much storage you required. Why? Because storage coming from master. So same thing will taken here. So this is a name. You gave any name. What configuration? You select the configuration. In what region you want to run. If you want, you can have replica in Mumbai region. Otherwise, you can create replica in Singapore. If something happened to your master copy, you can promote that replica. Yes. You can even use this for backup purpose or for DR purpose also. You're maintaining same copy of your database in another region. If entire Mumbai goes down also, you have copy in Singapore. You can use that. Okay, I'm creating it in Mumbai. So then remaining options, Autominer version upgrade, right? You go here, storage, what is the storage required? It is not asking you need 100 GB, 200 GB. It's not asking. Why? Because storage comes from primary. So for this replica copy, you want to enable multi-AZ, then you can set up what security group it is going to use, authentication, encryption, right? These are all same things we already discussed. So then one replica copy creates. It's still creating. So when coming to diagrammatical, this is our master copy. We perform write operations here. So whatever modifications you do here, whatever schema you create, whatever schema drop you perform here, those all replicates here. Okay. So once it is ready, we will get connected to it. And later you decided you want to break down this replication. You decided you want to break down this replication. Yes, you can do that. Currently, this is master, this is primary, and this is a replica. If I want to create another replica, yes, we can. We can create 5 MySQL replicas and 15 Aurora replicas. Okay, we can create multiple replica copies. It is modifying. So last but one step. Once it is ready, we will get connected to it. And I'm going to create a database here. We will go and we will verify here. I'll drop a schema here. We'll go and we'll verify here. I'll try to create a schema here itself and we'll verify whether it is allowing or not. Okay. So that is a read replica concept. So it will take some time. If you have any questions, we will discuss now.
One generalized question, Avinash. So,
Yes.
in order to store the information, we use this database, right? And the same way we have the S3. Okay. So, only thing is we will store in the table format. That's the only reason we go for the DB, or like what is the main difference? We can store everything in S3
Okay.
as well as in database as well. So what's the major
Okay.
difference?
Right. So here the question is difference between S3 and RDS. S3 is a object-based storage. For example, I have an image or I have a document in S3. Can I add some information to that S3 object? Can we add any information, or can I use any tool to update the information here to an S3 file? So S3 is a object-based storage. That means you see here, I have an object here, index.html. If I want, I can open it. If I want, I can download it. If I want, I can go here, I can download it. Then only I can modify. My question, do I have any edit option here? We can edit storage class. These are different things. But can I add any information to this file?
No.
No. But when coming to RDS, your application have capability to access the tables. It can update on the go. So S3 is for plain text data or just objects like videos, audios. There is no data modification required. For such type of files, we can go with this S3. But database, we can update on the go. We can store username and passwords. We can store user informations, right? So it's a object-based. So that is a relational database service. S3 is not a database service. S3 is a storage. There is a difference between storage and database. Okay. The simple example for this storage and database is, okay, how many candidates we can sit in this classroom? 60 members can sit here in this classroom. That is a capacity. What are all the 60 members are sitting here? What is their name? What is their phone number? If you change your phone number, I need to modify it, right? If you lost your phone, you take a new phone number, I need to modify it, right? Technically, that is a database. Okay. So storage and database. Is that clear? So the primary difference is data update. We cannot update data on the go if it is in S3. You have an object here, you can call this object for your web server. Okay, and you can display that. But can we update it? The whoever logging and doing it? No. S3 is a static. Is that answers your question?
Yes, like same, what are the format in the table as well? Same thing we can update, but dynamically, I think we can't update, right? Like table format also we can store here, right, in the S3, but whereas in DB, in dynamically we can update with the conditions and all. Is that right?
Okay, okay. So just try to perform this, then you will get a clarity. Narsim,
Yeah.
You just take an Excel sheet, upload it to S3. Okay, just try to update it.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, you try. So you try to do the same thing. Okay, with RDS.
Yeah, RDS we can,
whatever
with the conditions we can update where field we require.
Yeah, just try
dynamically.
to perform that with S3. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
That is a limitation.
Okay, thank you.
Not only that, you take any file, we cannot edit in S3. Not only that, you take any format, any kind of file, we cannot update. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So the replica copy is created now. This is a replica copy. Let's get connected to this replica copy. And I don't know username and password. It is a replica. So whatever username and password we set for primary, same thing. All right. So now I'm taking this new connection. I'm calling it as the MySQL replica. Given that DB admin is a username, test connection, password is Avinash1234. Click on OK. Right, said OK. So this is a replica copy. You see here, this is a primary copy. This is the replica copy. Whenever we go to schemas, automatically 3 schemas are there. Now, I'm going to the primary copy and I'm creating a schema now. I am under primary copy here. Okay, how we are saying, here is a tab, MySQL tab. Give a right click, create schema. From primary is the name I'm giving. Apply, finish. It created, right? Now I'm going to replica and I'm giving a refresh. So far it is just 3. I'm giving a refresh. You see, automatically 4th one came. Did I create it in this replica? No, I created in master copy. It replicated here. Similar way, I'm under master. I'm dropping one schema. This test 1, 2, 3. Give a right click. So here we have an option, drop schema. I'm dropping the schema. Drop now. It is gone. So if I go to replica, if I give a refresh, you see, it's dropped from here also. Okay. So whatever modification I'm doing in primary, it replicating to replica automatically, correct? So that is a RAID replica mechanism. Now, can we perform any write operation in replica? Give a right click, create schema. I'm giving a name, test, apply, finish. Okay, I think I'm in primary. It's created. Okay, I'm in replica now. Create schema. Replica T is a name I'm giving. Apply. You see here, there is an error. What is the error? This MySQL is running with read-only option. So we cannot perform any write operation. For example, I decided to drop this schema. Go here, drop schema, drop now. Is it happened? Error. Drop database. Read-only option, so we cannot perform. Read replica supports just read-only operations, no other operations. Okay. At application level, you point all your read operation to this, write operation to write copy. If you don't want to manage that, we can go with the cluster creation process. We are going to have same name, cluster. This is DB. Cluster we will discuss tomorrow. So we are going to have a cluster ID. So that AWS will manage read operations and write operations automatically. It maintains. Okay. So these multi-AZ will cost us. Read replica, you can try with free tier eligible one. If you want, you can give a try, but multi-AZ will cost us. So just keep the concept in mind, and I'm going to share this diagram also. Okay. I will share this diagram also. I will save as, keep it on desktop, RDS, or else I'll store it here. Okay, I'll share it. So, any questions on this read replica?
I mean, who and when it will be decided, Avinash, like whether if the user incoming request is read, so where and who will decide? So this is an read request and it should go to a read replica database.
So the developer.
Oh.
So basically, whenever we are developing the application, we are going to evaluate whether it is a put request. Like, generally we are going to have API calls, right? Get API call, put API call, post API call. What exactly call happened? Based on that call, we can redirect that request.
Okay, so logic is at application.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I told you one more thing. If I want to break down this replication, yes, we can go to actions. There is an option called promote. Click on promote. So enable automated backups. And this is an irreversible option. Once you break down the replication, you cannot re-establish it again. So promote read replica. it will promote as an individual DB instance. So then it will support write operations. Okay.
That will be a cluster.
Yes, it is going to be an instance. It is primary and it is replica, right? Both will become instances now. So it's yeah.
It's a cluster, right? Then
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
So again, I need this jump server for tomorrow session also. I'm going to stop it. Okay. So this database, I'll delete. Okay. I'm going to delete it. You want to create a final snapshot? Not really required. Whatever the snapshot already created, you want to retain that? Not really required. Just I acknowledge, type delete me, then click on delete. So it is deleting. Make sure you delete the read replica also. Delete me. We have some more options. We will discuss that tomorrow. Okay. The first thing, the task is pretty straightforward. And here, restore the shared sample DB. I'm sharing a sample database. Restore that. So first one, the same thing. Right. So these we will talk. We'll talk about that in our next session. Right. So let me upload that information. Okay. One is RDS, and sample DB. Total 3. So the raw.io file, if you are not able to download, so you better do one thing. Copy all the content. For example, is vpc.raw.io. You see, I'm not able to download. So you do one thing, just simply copy raw, create a file and rename it to vpc.raw.io. Draw.io. Okay. So then you browse from that website, you can view the diagram. It may not show. Why? Because this file is a XML format. So it won't show the diagram within this Git. Okay. So yeah, I have uploaded that here. So spare some time and try to launch one database and get connected to it. Okay. So any questions before closing the session?
Avinash,
Yes, please.
this database storage stored in EBS location or any S3 location, database files?
It's a EBS. So just like our EC2 instances, this databases also will use EBS storage only. So snapshots will store in backend S3. Whatever snapshot we create, that stores in backend S3, that we will discuss tomorrow.
That replica also in the S3.
Sorry?
Replica files also stored in S3.
No, replica also in EBS only,
No.
but it won't support write operation.
Okay.
Okay, so